ahead and begin. The awkward silence there as people are looking at us. We've got some participants in the queue now, and some are still coming in, and they'd rather hear you two than hear me. So I'll make some introductory remarks. Again, my name is Adam Rock. I'm the Senior Director here at Hiring Our Heroes Foundation, part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Honored to be here today with a great panel. Today our focus is on oil and gas. We've got a great session ahead of you with two feature partners, great partners of Hiring Our Heroes. The first is the Mears Group. We're joined by Stephanie Metzler, the Vice President of Workforce Development, who'll be on our panel. And we've got BP Oil and Gas, and we've got Pre Newton, who's the Talent Acquisition Partner at BP. Of note, Pre is an airports veteran, 9 years in service in the HR. Pre, thank you very much for your service. And Stephanie as well, you have been a true supporter of Hiring Our Heroes and our veterans and military communities for many, many years, and we thank you very much for your partnership. Great to have you both here today. We'll get started in a second. The construct of this panel is I'll let them make some introductory remarks, show a few slides about their companies and industry. I'll ask some questions, and at the end, we'll wrap it up with a Q&A period, which you, the audience, will have the opportunity to type in a question if you have one. I'd ask that you use the Q&A tab on the screen. If you look on your screen there, there's a chat tab and a Q&A tab. I'd ask you to use the Q&A tab. If you accidentally use the chat tab, we'll answer that just as well. But we'll make sure in the next hour that we get all of your questions answered. Well, let me start by talking about their culture. I'm going to ask them in a minute, but I was doing my research, Stephanie and Free, and I was looking on your websites. And first of all, you've got great websites. So when you talk about culture, that's what will be of interest to our veterans, transitioning service members, and military spouses, I'm sure. But I was drawn to the values of your company. I won't reiterate all the values you each have, but there's a commonality there. And I think that commonality is centered around service in the military just as well. Integrity, service, and teamwork were the three things I took away. So I think this is going to be a great panel. You've got a lot to offer and a wealth of experience, and we'll go ahead and get started. So let me ask Stephanie to open it up. If you would please just introduce yourself, Stephanie, talk about your company, the Mears Group, and maybe a little bit about the industry, and then I'll give Pre an opportunity. Thank you, Stephanie.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam. Appreciate the opportunity to be here today and speak to all transitioning service members and veterans wherever you are in the world today. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Metzler with Mears Group. I am the Vice President of Workforce Development, as Adam mentioned. If you could go to the next slide. Most of you have probably never heard of Mears Group, and we actually are a $12 billion company as part of Quanta Services. And the reason most people don't know who we are is because we are in the background. We actually work for the utilities and do their work for them. So we are an energy infrastructure solutions provider for gas, electric, and we also work in the telecom space as well. And the main part of our business that I'm here to discuss today is our gas distribution and our gas distribution program, where we do all of the service installations, joint trench. So we dig ditches. It's a big part of what we do. We run heavy equipment. Some people climb poles. Most people are underground in our world. The natural gas industry is forever growing and is not slowing down at all because there is so much infrastructure within the country that actually needs to be replaced, rebuilt, or we have new construction coming in. So it's a great industry to get into. It can provide a lifelong career because there will always be natural gas replacement that needs to be done as well as new construction. So Adam, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Great. Pri, if you mind, introduce yourself. Tell us a little about your company.
Okay, thank you, Adam. My name is Pre Newton. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity and to thank all of the veterans out there that are transitioning. Thank you for your service. As a veteran of the Air Force, like Adam mentioned, I do have a strong passion for assisting veterans as they transition. So I have been with BP for the last 4 years. I've been in energy and oil and gas, recruiting for the last 10 years. I work as one of the recruiters supporting our ethics and compliance legal and communications and external affairs team. I'm sure, as most of you know, BP is one of our super majors in the Houston area. We have about 75,000 employees globally in 80 different countries. We actually just got a new CEO, Bernard Looney. So we kind of are working on rebranding the company. So we have a new ambition our ambition is to be a net zero company by 2050. So wanting to cut down on our carbon intensity, as well as our products and sales of carbon by 50%. We have a very large portfolio of things that BP does in regards to trading, in regards to renewables, in regards to wind and solar. So we have a large portfolio. We don't just focus on oil and gas. Let's see what else. We have our headquarters in the United Kingdom, and we also have a headquarters in our in the Houston area. Sorry, I guess I should have changed the next slide. So that's basically just a summary of our rebranding that we're doing: reimagining energy, reinventing BP, and then performing while transforming. So that's pretty much the gist.
Thanks, Pri. Great introduction. I appreciate you again, your service. So for both, I'll start with Stephanie and I'll come back to Pri, but let's talk about the current environment, you know, with the COVID and what's been happening. There's been a big change, but what changes have you both seen in your industry?
So for us, we haven't seen a real significant change because we're considered essential workers. So even when everything was shut down, people need electric and they need natural gas to keep their homes heated or cooled. And so we actually, as an industry, have maintained most of our employees. It's a great outlook because we are essential. We've been able to maintain that. And, you know, collaboration with customers and the public has been very grateful. Obviously, we're following all the CDC and federal and state protocols that are required, but we've been able to actually continue to work throughout the entire pandemic thus far.
Great. Pri, how about yourself?
Same here. So BP, we have been able to take this opportunity to look at different ways of working. A lot of our employees are working from home right now. So that's given a lot of leadership opportunities to see that there are some changes that can be made in regards to still being able to be productive and be efficient, but work from home as well. So we're looking at ways to work smarter virtually. We're also in the middle, like I said, of our rebranding. So we've taken this opportunity to look at how we can use more digital and virtual spaces to help us as we rebrand and as we look to the future. Excellent.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the impact of the pandemic. You both touched on a little bit. You said you're both hiring, you're both essential services. That's great news. That's great news for those service members that are transitioning, those military spouses that might be interested in this industry here. And that's the beauty of this brief here. They get to learn from your experience and hear about two great industries out there and two great companies that are still hiring. But let's talk about that. So you are hiring. Can you talk a little bit specifically about that, and maybe a little bit about how you would onboard during this period if they were to give an opportunity to work with you? A little bit about that work with your environment. Are you remote? I'm sure you're still on the site in a lot of places, but just kind of give us a sense of what's going on there. I'll start with Pri, if that's okay.
Sure. So we are still currently hiring. We have a lot of positions that we are looking to bring on as we rebrand and as we build our new organization. A lot of those are digital, cybersecurity, IT. Of course, we have HR, accounting, and finance, and those various functions as well. We a part of our recruiting process was virtual. We do virtual video screenings. That's the first step in our process. So that was something that we were already doing through HireVue. We also do Skype interviews now. So instead of face-to-face, we've just now started to do Skype interviews. So we're still able to pretty much get through the whole recruiting process. But it's a little bit different, but I think with technology and kind of the entire world being in this space right now, people are learning it fast and being able to adapt and make the changes that's necessary to be successful in the process.
Thanks, Bree. Stephanie, anything to add, please?
Yeah, so really the high demand needs in our industry, as it has been for probably the last 5 to 10 years, has been the skilled workforce. Unfortunately, there is a huge skills gap with those skilled workers that are out in the field for the laborer positions, for the heavy equipment operators, welders, those that know how to fuse plastic pipe. Those are all incredibly in demand jobs within our industry right now. We also have all the corporate positions, just as Pri was mentioning, the accounting, the HR, and all the other functions. I will say that not within our company, but within the industry, as far as natural gas and electric is concerned, again, with Pri, there is a huge need for cybersecurity. So if that's something that you're looking at, I know that most people just don't look at the utilities necessarily as a place to look for a job. But if you're looking for a position in cyber or IT, the utilities are a great place to look, especially if you want to be local and you know you're going home to a specific city. Find out who your local utilities are if you're looking to be in cyber, because chances are they're probably hiring, whether that be natural gas, electric, or even telecom, because cybersecurity is such a huge risk for us right now, and especially for the utilities with shutting down an electric grid or something of that nature. So cybersecurity is really big in that in our industry as well. Engineers, that is also something that we don't have enough of. We are always looking for good civil engineers, electrical engineers, any of those different type of engineering roles all have a place within this industry. So that is another opportunity that someone may not be considering, is you not necessarily look at the utilities for those types of roles, but there are many roles within all of those different programs and within those different jobs that you can actually find a lifelong career in.
Yeah, I think your point is well taken. I mean, there are so many occupational skill sets within your industry alone. People will probably think oil and gas, they think about engineers, scientists, that type of thing, but you offer so much more. And as you know, the military's got about 1,100 occupational skill sets. There's a fit for somebody who served in the military somewhere in your organization somewhere, I'm sure of it. Pri, would you like to add on to that, which you talked about some of those, you know, those high demand opportunities? What about at BP?
So we also have a lot of field technician positions, kind of like what Stephanie mentioned. We have logistical positions as well. We have a lot of our corporate and function positions, like I mentioned. I support legal. And so there's always a lot of opportunities for transition in the military to be able to kind of go onto our website, see what you currently, you know, where you are, and then what jobs are available that would be a fit for you as far as your transferable skills. So a lot of great opportunities within the company. It's just a matter of, like you said, realizing that, yes, it's an oil and gas company, but that doesn't mean that there aren't a wide range of opportunities and positions out there.
Great. Can we talk a little bit about remote work? And I say that just obviously given the nature of the environment today and what it's taken us to this virtual platform as well. But as you know, we have many military spouses out there that might be looking for an opportunity with your companies. Remote work is appealing to them. They can take that work from one PCS move, you know, that's permanent change of station out there, to another one. Can you talk about remote opportunities? How about Stephanie, please?
So the vast majority of the opportunities that we have available currently, and it's the vast majority of our workforce, probably 85 to 88% of our workforce is actually in the field. So there's not an opportunity for remote work there because we're actually working in the dirt and we're doing construction. We do have those corporate roles that are available, and it really just depends on the role and what you're looking at. There we have, obviously, with the advent of COVID-19, we have taken some of our roles remote, but we are gradually starting to come back to the office. So we don't offer a lot of remote positions, and they are just a very small fraction of the opportunities that we have available.
Thanks. Pri?
So I think that's one of the things that BP is taking a closer look at now. With COVID, this has given us the opportunity to see that there are a lot of opportunities to work remote. There are a lot of jobs that can be done from home. The majority of us have not returned to the office unless they're critical. So we do have, there are opportunities out there, and right now the leadership team is reviewing our work model to be able to add more flexibility, to be able to see what jobs can continue to stay working from home as kind of the new norm, and then what positions will need to come back into the office. So I do foresee there will be remote opportunities long-term for BP as we move forward.
Excellent. Okay, so now the phase in our questioning was going to shift a little bit, okay? Now I'm going to use your years of experience, both of you all. You talked about, you got everybody listening to Hook. They're interested in oil and gas. They're interested in Mears Group. They're interested in BP. But now let's talk about the resumes a little bit, because we all know how important the resume is. And we talk a lot about resumes, but that's the initial step, as you know, to your entry into the process right there. Can you guys give us a little bit of advice, or at least the people listening, about resume preparation, especially when they're trying to submit one to your organization? We'll start with you, Pri. You there? I think she's frozen. How about Stephanie?
Sure, no problem.
Pri's there. We're having a little technical. I'll come back to Pri in a second. I'll go with Stephanie, please.
Okay. So for our industry and specifically our company, I would say if you're applying for one of our field positions, make sure you're including your technical skills, not necessarily just your leadership skills and all of the other soft skills that you have, but include your technical skills. If you know how to run equipment, make sure that you're letting us know that, because that will be a huge jump and that makes you much more employable, as well as make sure you're tailoring your resume so that it reflects the position that you're applying for. Make sure that you look at those job descriptions that are out there. Literally take some of the words out of those job descriptions, utilize them in your resume so that we have the ability to see that, number one, you've actually gone through that job description and we can see that it's reflecting that. As well as, we just want to make sure that when you're applying for positions that you're tailored to fit. If you send me a resume for an engineer position and you're applying for an HR position, it's really not going to give me the information that I need. So you really need to tailor that resume to fit the skill sets that you're going to need within the position you're applying for.
Yeah, great advice, Stephanie. Pri, are you back with us?
I'm back. Sorry about that. So like Stephanie mentioned, I like to encourage veterans. I know we have a wide range of skills that we have gathered in the military. So I typically will tell them to create a master resume of all of the things that you've done over the years. And then from that pull, what you feel is valuable in a specific area for a specific position. So not just putting everything on the resume, but what things are actually relevant to the position that you're applying for. Because every job can be different. And then also being able to articulate how your skills are transferable. So being able to take a lot of the military jargon out and then translate that into corporate speak, I like to call it, so that hiring managers can understand exactly what it is that you've done in the military and how it is transferable into corporate.
Yeah, really good advice. I'm going to keep going with this thread. So you've got the resume done. You got it up to par where you want it to be. You're getting ready to submit. You submitted it. You're in the system, and you got a call back for an interview. Maybe it's your first interview, hopefully your final. But as Pri mentioned, these are virtual. You're using Skype. Most of them are virtual nowadays. Can you give us a little bit of advice on, how that's working for both your companies, how that process is? Maybe some tips that you've seen for a virtual interview. I'll go back up to Stephanie for a second.
Let me get myself off mute. So make sure that even though you're at home, that you're dressing professionally. Make sure that you're in an area that if you can't find quiet, that you at least wear headphones so that you can hear clearly, and those that are speaking with you can hear clearly as well. The other thing that I would suggest, as you can see the Be Hiring Our Heroes background behind me, is if you're in an area that's very messy, or if you're in your kitchen because you don't have any other space, put up a background. It's in your settings. Put up a background, even if it's a faux office, so that it just looks like, you know, everything is in good order. Make sure that you have something that's not going to detract or, you know, take away from you sitting there and have people trying to figure out what's on that shelf or what that book is when they're trying to actually focus on you in interview. So I think that those are key elements, as well as, and this is just in general for interviewing, in my opinion, research the company before you get on the phone, before you get on the Zoom call, before you actually, if it's an in-person interview, make sure you do research on the company, because chances are somebody is going to ask you if you did any research on the company, or if you looked at the website, and what you can tell them about the company that you're applying for and interviewing with.
Great. Pre?
So I definitely echo all of the advice that Stephanie gave. Also, just making sure, a lot of times we know that technology does not work the way it's supposed to work. So you want to make sure that you've tested the technology beforehand. Making sure that you have sound and that your computer has the bandwidth and the network, so that you can make sure that you're not having any interruptions. You want to role play beforehand. You want to make sure that you're taking the interview just as serious as you would any other interview. You know, a video interview is just as serious as if you were face to face. So bringing that same energy to that interview, because that is the first impression. So I would say those are the two main things. Make sure that you role play and you're comfortable, and that your technology is set up and that you're good to go in that space.
Thanks. The one other piece of advice I'll add, I heard yesterday, was a sound advice, I think you guys are, is about your dress. So although it's virtual, right, doesn't mean you should slouch up on your dress. So, you know, wearing your football t-shirt or your hoodie or something like that. I'm going to guess that business casual, like I'm wearing today, is appropriate for an interview with your two organizations, or would you expect something more?
Depends on the position you're applying for.
Go ahead, Free.
I was just gonna say, for BP, that would be sufficient. I mean, even if you wear, you know, a button-up shirt and no jacket, but just still maintaining a professional image.
How about Stephanie? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. I was just saying it may depend on the role you're applying for. If you're applying for a VP role or a director role, depending on what that entails, you may want to wear a suit and tie. For most positions, probably not, but making sure that you're just taking the moment, even if it's, you know, looking on a website or whatever, to say, okay, this is a VP role, so what level of dress should I have? And it's always better to overdress than underdress, in my opinion. So if you're not sure, make sure that you dress as professionally as possible, because you can't go bad if you're wearing a suit rather than a football t-shirt. So.
Great.
And just to add to that, I did want to
go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, a lot of times veterans, you know, being in when you're in the military for a long period of time, and this may be your first interview, whether it be face-to-face or virtually. So a lot of times they may not be familiar with what the etiquette is when it comes to dress. So definitely doing your research to understand what colors you're supposed to wear. You know, if you're wearing a pantsuit or a skirt, what that's supposed to look like. If you need a blazer, just understanding the interview etiquette, because that's something that is very new when you're used to being in a uniform 24/7.
Yeah, great advice by both of you. I want to jump on to culture for a second, because it's really important. And I'll give you the example. I retired over 2 years ago. I'm on the third company, and people are going, wow, Rock's on this third company. They've all been great companies. As a matter of fact, Fastport was phenomenal, and I grew, and I moved on to a nonprofit, NS2 Serves, and I grew and developed. And now I'm hoping I'm at my final stage of my career. I'm very passionate about the work I do, but I'm here at Iron Our Heroes as a senior director, and I love it here, and it's about cultural fit. But it took me a little bit of time, and culture is extremely important to me, not only me, Pri, I'm sure it's to you, and to those transitioning service members, those veterans, those military spouses, that military community at large. But how about you tell us a little bit about the culture of your company, and how those that are listening can learn a little bit about the culture of your company. You've got some great content on your website. Maybe that's a place to go. But how about you give us some advice on that one? And I'll start with you, Pri.
Okay. So like you said, BP has a really robust website. So definitely checking out our website to get a better understanding of our culture. One of the reasons why I actually joined BP is because BP's culture is very much aligned with a lot of the military culture, like you said, integrity and excellence, one team, all of those things were things that were important to me personally. And so reading up on BP and understanding that that is their culture, and then joining the company and really seeing that we walk and live and breathe that every day definitely was a reason for me to kind of join the company, and why I've been with the company for the amount of time that I have. I would say that BP's culture is very entrepreneurial. So, you know, we're very open as far as allowing people to come in, being open to new things, new ideas. We're very collaborative at BP. So there's going to be a lot of one team, being able to be flexible. With a large organization as BP and us being global, a lot of time things take time. So being able to be flexible, being able to be patient, being able to collaborate, learn how to influence, those type of things are extremely important in our culture. BP is also very big on our community and taking care of its employees. I personally, you know, have seen that in COVID-19, and also during Hurricane Harvey here in Houston. We're very big on making sure that they take care of the people, which is extremely important when you come from the military, where that is kind of what we see every day. So I think BP has a really great culture. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. We have an Instagram page and a Facebook page. So there's also social media channels for you to follow BP as well, just to see what we're doing throughout the country.
Excellent. Stephanie?
I would very much second what Pri just mentioned. I mean, we have to work safely. It's 100% number one goal. No man left behind. Everybody goes home the way they showed up for work that day. And that is huge for us. It's our top core value, because we do work in dangerous situations potentially with electric and gas and all the different items we use, and that we're working with, we have those opportunities for things to happen. So we are very highly team oriented. I mean, we go out on crews every single day. You're working with the same people. They become family. And I think that that's probably I've been here for 7+ years. And one of the biggest things for me about being here is the team aspect and the family aspect. We have locations across the country as BP does. And I know that if something happened to my son who's in college in Pennsylvania and I'm in Kansas City, I have at least 75 people I could call if something happened and I couldn't get there. And they know that they would show up and I would do the same for them. So it's probably one of the biggest things about us is, you know, just the family environment, that we all take care of each other. And it's very similar to the military because it's excellence, it's quality, safety, teamwork, all of those things factor into our everyday, and we actually do live them. So that's probably the biggest reason and the biggest quality, or the biggest culture plus for me with the organization.
Yeah, sounds like two great cultures there, two great companies. So how do these folks listening, how do they connect with you? And how do they make sure that maybe they're most competitive for some of the opportunities that they have with you? And I'll go back to Free, if that's okay. Go ahead, please.
Sure. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Like I said, we have our website. I definitely would suggest everyone go out to our website. We do have it where you can create a profile and set up job alerts, which is extremely helpful because you can then set up a profile for yourself, and then BP will automatically email you any jobs that are fit for you. We typically don't leave our positions open for more than 2 weeks. So if you're not checking in on a daily basis, you may miss some opportunities. So I say job alerts is extremely helpful. Also follow us on LinkedIn so you can know what is going on within the company, what changes we're making, where there are opportunities. We do have a military placement program that we run every year. And so that typically will announce that on LinkedIn and through our other external organizations like Hiring Our Heroes. Just staying connected, making sure that you're within our network. And like I said, you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. Those are all great ways to stay connected to the company.
Excellent. Well, I get ready to go up to Stephanie to answer that same question. if you, those of you listening, if you do have additional questions, please type those into the Q&A tab and we'll get them answered. But Stephanie, can you talk about that same question to Pri, please?
Sure. So again, social media, we are on LinkedIn as well. Following us is a great way to get to know the company, just like our website. So we are on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook as well. And the biggest thing that I would say is you have the opportunity to reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can look at our website for our jobs and career availability, as well as our training opportunities. We participate in the Hiring Our Heroes Fellowship program. So we do accept fellows through their cohorts, and you can also email me directly. So if you have a resume and you have interest, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I believe that my email address will be on the next slide, but it's stephanie.metzler@mears.net, and that is going to come directly to me, and I can make sure that your resume and your information gets to the right people in the right area.
Excellent. Well, thank you. So we do have a question here. I'm gonna, for both of you, this person is looking to get into the critical infrastructure protection side of the energy industry, gas and oil, renewables, etc. Do your companies maintain those jobs internal, or do they outsource those to external companies? And I'll start with you, Stephanie, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So because we actually work for the utilities, most of those jobs are going to be within the utility space. They're not going to be in our space because we don't actually access their system. We just work on their system. So for those critical infrastructure pieces, those are probably, you'll probably find a lot of those type of positions within the actual utilities or within the oil and gas companies directly.
I'm sorry, Adam, can you repeat what the job?
Yeah, it's about the critical infrastructure protection side. So do you outsource those, or do you have those jobs internal to BP?
So we try to do as much internal hiring as possible. We don't have a lot of companies that we outsource to. So it would just be a matter of, you know, looking to see where you're looking to do the work at, and then if there's any open positions.
Great. Well, I'm going to ask you both this. Is there something that you wanted to say that I didn't ask you? Because I drove most of the questions here, and there's not a lot of questions in the Q&A tab, and we've got plenty of time. So I'll start with Stephanie. I'll give Pri an opportunity to think about it, but is there something that you wanted to say to everybody?
I know that this isn't an easy time, and it's become even more difficult with COVID-19. So don't get discouraged. I know that there are jobs out there for everyone in every opportunity. Even if you're looking at a position that may be not where you want to be necessarily, but just to get the experience, don't hesitate to look at a more entry-level position. You know, coming in as a laborer in our organization, our military people are accelerating at a much faster pace. So even though they're coming in at an entry-level position, within 6 to 12 months, they're in a foreman position, which is going to significantly increase your paycheck and what's coming home to you every day. So just because you don't have the exact experience, don't turn down an entry-level position. Get that experience, continue to work up that pathway, and you have the opportunity to get wherever you want to. I'm sure that BP has opportunities just as we do. We have training programs that if you come into the organization and you tell me, this is where I am, but this is where I want to go, we have those mechanisms in place, and we have those training programs in place to be able to say, yes, you're here now, but let's get you over here, and we can put you on a path to that. So making sure that any company you go to work for, honestly, has programs like that and has training capabilities that they can assist you in getting where you want to go, not just where they think you should be, is something that you most definitely should take a look at and make sure that is part of your job search as well.
Great. Pri, you know, I asked that same question. Anything I didn't ask you, but you can also see that someone's asking, could you please talk about the graduate programs that you have at BP?
Sure. So we have a graduate program. It's for master's degrees and above. It's typically annually. Right now, a lot of the graduate program, a lot of the starts have been delayed, or they're going to be virtual. So I think that we have closed out for most of everything for 2020. I would definitely say check out our website. I apologize. I'm an experienced hire side, so I don't deal with a lot of the early careers, which the graduate program falls under early careers. But I do know that we have not stopped in that program, so they are still progressing as far as filling some of the internships. But there is a criteria, so I would say check our website out to find out if you meet the requirements for it, but it is still very much in progress as far as that COVID has not slowed down our early career, so they are still hiring in our internship space.
And then I'll go back to the same question I bombarded you with the graduate one. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that I left off the questions that you wanted to convey to those out there that are still listening about BP?
So I would just say transitioning by itself is hard, right? It's already a hard process. You know, now with COVID and all the other things that we have going on in the world, it makes it even harder. So I would say definitely don't get discouraged. Right now, things may seem slow, but companies will be picking up in the next, I think probably 60, 90 days. Make sure that right now, while things are slow, that you're building your network, that you are making sure that you're connecting with the employers that you're interested in, start following them, start researching them, and making sure that, you know, those are the companies that you feel like you're a fit for. Look at internship programs. A lot of times, a lot of the internships are paid. So it's not, you know, you're working for free. So I would definitely say those are great ways to get your foot in the door, as far as maybe it's not exactly what you want to do, but it gives you a very good, a good way to get your foot in the door with a lot of the larger companies. But mainly just don't get discouraged. I know it can seem difficult right now with all of the challenges we have going on, but things will get better, and just try to keep your head up, because I know what it's like when I got out and they didn't have a lot of these challenges that we do now. So I can only imagine what it must be like now.
It's great advice. I'm gonna piggyback on it. Then I'm gonna come up to Stephanie. If you could talk about what you guys are doing with hiring here with the corporate fellowship program, because Bree touched on the internship event. But I want to say as well too. You know, I'm a transitioning service member. I did that, you know, two and a half years ago. And the same advice that you said, I want to foot stomp there. It's really important that this transition is a process, right, Bree? I mean, when you treat it as an event and you do it the last minute, and you don't do the research, you don't listen to the sessions, you don't prepare a resume, you don't do the LinkedIn, you don't build a network by connecting with Stephanie Messler or Pre Newton, you know, or myself, then you are more apt to fail, all right? And struggle, I should say. Maybe not fail, but struggle through the process here. But that's why the longer runway you give yourself, the better you are to fall in with organizations like Stephanie's and Pre's, who have great opportunities, have the ability to upskill you, have the ability to work with you, have the patience and talent here at the HR, you know, to nurture you, to get you into their organization. So I say the same thing. Treat it as a process, and you'll be more successful, and you'll land on your feet, and which is great. So, Stephanie, do you mind touching a little bit about your guys' role and involvement with us with the corporate fellowship program? Because that's really great.
Yeah, not at all. I was actually going to ask if I could mention it, because it's basically, for those of you that don't know what a Hiring Our Heroes Fellowship is, it's a 12-week program that provides opportunity for you to do really an internship for a company and just get that real world corporate experience. So it does require a degree. I believe it's only an associate's degree that's required in order to participate in the program. And if you're within your window of transition, you are eligible to utilize the program. So if you're not aware of it, make sure that you reach out to Hiring Our Heroes. I know that they have on their website, they have a page for fellowships as well. And reach out and make sure that they know that you're interested, and they will put you through the process. There's no guarantee that you're going to get a fellowship just because you apply for it. I know that Hiring Our Heroes does an amazing job of trying to get every single person that applies for the program to get an intern or to get a fellowship. So You know, it's a great process. We've had amazing luck. We have hired those that we have brought in as fellows. They've gone through their fellowships and done such great work for us that we've actually hired them, and they're now working for us full time. So I don't know what else you would like me to say, Adam.
You did great. You did. That's my sales pitch right there. You did a great job. And I know we're working with the BP to become a member of the CFP at some point in the future here. But as Pri said, they have internships there just as well. But, you know, we're just grateful for your partnership. How about this? I'll start with Pri. One more time, a shout out for your point of contact information. I'm going to ask Brett if maybe he can bring it back up again. So, but how can they contact you as we're getting ready to wrap this up? It's right there on the screen, but any last minute words?
No last minute words for me. Just like I said, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, great. So you can see Pri Newton, connect with her on LinkedIn or go to their career community on their website, as she indicated there. And Stephanie, the same thing. I think we've got the ability to bring your contact information up. Here we go. Stephanie, anything? Final comments?
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to share our company and to be part of the organization. Hiring Our Heroes is an amazing group, and they do great things. Thank you all for your service. I appreciate everything that you do to keep our country safe, especially in the times that we're currently in. So thank you for that. And please don't hesitate to reach out. If you have questions, don't hesitate to give me a call, shoot me an email, and I will make sure that we get you an answer to any questions that you have. And if you want to send me your resume, and you can let me know what you're looking for and what area of the country you want to work in, because we're located all over the place, which I'm sure Pri would appreciate the same information, since there are so many different locations that we both have. Just shoot that over to me, and I'm happy to do what I can to make sure that you have a position that matches your talents and your skills, and we would love to have you.
Well, we're honored to have two great partners in the Mears Group and BP Oil and Gas, and you two did a superb job today with a wealth of knowledge. So we're glad that you were on this panel today. For those of you out there listening, you may go to our website and register for additional events if you like. Today at 4 p.m., I'll be doing another session on intelligence brief. So we're sticking with our Industry Thursday with the intelligence community. And for our very first virtual career fair that we're hosting alone, we did a collaborative one with Mo on the 8th of May with a lot of success. And now we're partnered with Brazen. We're going to do on the 12th of June at 1 p.m. Eastern time with this skill bridge / career skills program approach to it with those companies out there that have upskilling opportunities that are partnering with us. We'll bring them into the fold, and we'll give you transitioning service members in the military community an opportunity to go onto that that site, register. It asks you to pre-register and then root around and see which one of those skilled programs is best for you, and maybe you apply for it. This was recorded, this entire session, so it will be posted on our website at hiringourheroes.org in our career community if you're so inclined to pull it down again or copy, paste it, and share it with somebody else in the future. Again, I'm glad to have Mears Group and BP a partner. I wish all of you out there listening the best of luck in your transition to your next career. I know you will be successful, and be safe out there. Have a great day, and this ends our session. Thanks.